So you have installed RCD330 radio and you want to upgrade it with a dynamic trajectory rear view camera for parking assistance. It's fairly simple, but camera seller doesn't provide good instructions on how to connect the wiring. So let's look at what we get here. The part on the left is what you get from the seller. So you get a camera cable, video signal plug, and power and ground wires, and the CAN bus wire plug for the VW CAN bus line. So the CAN bus is the system that tells you or the camera how you are turning your steering wheel. So every time you turn your steering wheel to a direction, it will send a signal via the CAN bus line to the camera, so that the camera knows where the trajectory lines will go. So the actual CAN bus lines are on the gray adapter that is supplied with the package. And once you're replacing it with an RNS 510 VW radio, the original radio has a pinout diagram on it as a sticker, and what we are interested are in the red box, the red lines that are marked CAN minus and CAN plus. Those are the wires that you need to tap in with the PQ connector in order to get the CAN bus data to the camera. So, how you connect those wires? So here we have the CAN bus connector. You can see that the orange wire is the CAN low or the CAN minus, and the orange green wire is the CAN high or CAN plus. So you need to connect those CAN minus and CAN plus wires to the BQ connector that has the wires coming from the car. So BQ connector on your right side is the original connector that your car has. Then you have this blue connector which is supplied by the seller, and this is the connector that you transport the video signal from the camera. It has two wires, video minus and video plus. So you need to plug in those minus and plus wires to the connector. And the connector is a fairly standard connector. It has this kind of push-in pin connectors. So you get those out by pushing the tab a little bit with a needle or a small screwdriver, and you just pull out the wire. So the way that these connectors stay in, there's a small clip that goes behind the plastic, and then it clips in and stays in the connector. So the first step is connect the video wires to the blue connector with what's supplied by the seller of the camera. So this is a new connector. You can use the original one that is in the radio, but that has a lot of different wires also there, and the connector style is a little bit different. It is clamp style connector, so it's easier to use the one that the seller supplied, because the pin connectors connect to this connector better. Once you have connected the video signal cables to the connector, Second step is to connect the CAN wires to the PQ connector. You can do this several different ways. For example, you can cut the original wires, put in a connector between, or you can peel off the plastic cover or the rubber from the wire and splice it in that way. Or what the easiest way, I think, is using these types of bandit connectors. It's a basic connector that has two holes next to each other. Then there's a metal plate there that you just line the two wires together. Here you can see that on the right hand side picture you can see that we have connected the CAN high and CAN low wires together with a single connector, each separate, and you just press down the metal plate and it will connect those two lines parallel together. So this is the easiest way and a pretty common way for automotive industry to use when you want to steal data or power from another line. This way you don't need to cut any lines or use solder or any other methods of splicing the wires together. Once you have connected the CAN plus wires, you connect the new blue connector to the original PQ connector. It's the large one, the black one. So you remove the original blue connector from the PQ connector by pressing on that small tab on the clip there, shown by the arrow in the left hand side picture. Then you press the connector in, it comes out the back. Then you just simply press the new connector from the back to the PQ connector. You can see on the right hand side picture there is the old connector and the new connector inside the PQ connector. This is fairly straightforward and pretty easy to do. Then step 4, you need to connect the power and ground. So for the power, I would say take a look from your fuse box, an empty space, and you need to make sure that it's a space where the power is on only when the engine is turned on. So the way you can do it is take a multimeter and find an empty slot and check with the multimeter if it has power. If it doesn't, turn on the engine and check with the multimeter again. If it has 12 volts in it, then you can use that slot. You just slot in the fuse that the wire has. So in this set there was the power wire came so that it was connected to a fuse. So if the fuse blows out, the connection to the power cuts off. Then you need to find a good grounding place. A chassis bolt, under a chassis bolt is the best place. So you just open a little bit, if you can find a nut or screw that is bolted in to the chassis with a bare metal connection. You just open a little bit and slide the ground connector under the bolt and just tighten it up. Now that you have successfully made the connections, the CAN connection is for the data, to know the radio know that you're putting on reversed gear, and it displays the audio or the video input from the camera. The camera gets power, and it also gets the CAN bus data from the car, showing the trajectories when you're turning the wheel. Now you have successfully installed the review camera. I will not be showing how to add the actual camera, since it varies so much from cars depending on which model you have and how do you want to route your wires from the back to the front. But this is more of a guide, or how I did it, did the wiring, since there was no wiring diagram available from the seller, and I had to sort of piece together from pictures that the seller sent to figure out the wiring, and it was not that clear. But once you know which wire is what and where to connect them, it's fairly simple and straightforward. All in all, the wiring to the radio plug took me about 15 minutes, but the actual routing of the cable from the back to the front with disassembly and stuff like that took me about 6 hours all in all to complete the task. So let's hope that this helps you with the wiring of the camera and makes stuff a lot easier if you have good instructions. Thank you.